Now, let me go to the second question.
Let's
And
go.
yeah, I mean, if
Do you have any questions about anything we covered so far?
yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. And again, I checked it with the people upstairs and they said, yes, ask the question. Okay. See, you guys, Exopolitics TV is not only a boutique, but it's a lot of deep questioning takes place on this show.
Love it.
So our guests come and they raise deep questions. So this question is called the Einstein question, okay? Because Mr. Einstein, Mr. Positive Energy, Mr. A-Bomb, Mr. Hiroshima, Mr. Tiamat, Mr. Mars, are they going to do a nuclear trifecta on Earth? And why did they cover up? I met Oppenheimer's granddaughter or daughter or whatever, and I.
All right, I have to answer you because the masters have told me to answer you on this.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the spiritual hierarchy wants you to know there is not a breath you take that's not measured.
Right.
They know everything that's going on down here.
Right, exactly.
And they are not going to allow this to happen. What happened before in the past was because the Federation wasn't prepared for that.
Right. And so the question.
But they are prepared now.
Yeah.
They are prepared for any kind of intervention that may become necessary at any time should anyone get a hand.
Yeah.
They are not going to allow this to just be a nuclear wasteland like has happened in the past.
Great. Now, here is
like
my question.
Like Maldek.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Praise the Lord.
No, when Maldek occurred, that was a complete shock to the Federation because our attention was turned on other planets, pretty much.
Exactly. And we and we may have some of that same characters reincarnated on the planet right now. And so
why anyone would like to devastate a planet like this that's a jewel in the crown of our Father is because there is deep jealousy by those who are not of the Christ light.
Auntie Krista is my response now. So I ask you this question.
So you're not going to allow to have nuclear devastation. No, thank you.
Right. So
been canceled due to lack of ticket sales.
Okay, so why were the scientists that went silent, who you mentioned? You mentioned Einstein, Oppenheimer, and who else?
Right, Oppenheimer, Heisenberg.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah. See, the problem back then.
Now, were they under the guidance of the Sanhedrin? Were they Anunnaki reptilian hybrids? Did they follow the Talmud of the Torah?
Well, it's
did they come from certain genetic and cultural backgrounds? Did they follow the protocols of the Sanhedrin?
Okay, let's make clear on one thing, Alfred.
No, I just want to know.
One thing. Well, I just want to answer you. I'm just answering you.
Because we're still having threats. China now is moving its nuclear ships over to the artificial islands that it's built for the nuclear war. It looks like the incarnates to me are trying to act out. Let me just finish here. Are trying to act out the incarnates in unconsciousness, Tiamat and Mars, because we asked the upstairs and they said that, and this is the Ra group, they said that unless the leaders are spiritually enlightened, they will go for the nuclear trifecta in their spiritual unconsciousness. So that the Chinese, they're communist Chinese, and Mao was a mind control operation of Skull and Bones. That's the second chapter of the Bavarian Illuminati, founded at Skull and Bones in Yale in 1776, under the Rothschilds, who were the Bauers out of Bavaria. So, and they're followers of the Talmud, that whole complex out of Babylonia because they're reptilian hybrids, Anunnaki reptilian hybrids. So what's the deal here? So I'm turning it over to you guys for your wisdom. So I'm not, I'm just making questions here. That's all.
All right. Okay, I got one thing to say about the spiritual and the things that I'm picking up. Okay, the hierarchy.
Okay.
The hierarchies want you to know they're really focused on this planet hugely. They are following things very, very closely. They are not going to allow this planet to be blown to smithereens or ruined any further. They've had it, really. They want to get rid of these nuclear power plants. They want to get rid of all this fracking. They want to go to a new level quickly.
I'm talking about the H bombs, the hydrogen bombs. I'm talking about Satan II, the new generation of Russian intercontinental missiles. I'm talking about the Chinese and their islands. I'm talking about the nuclear escalation that President United States POTUS is now going to the next level.
Planet Earth right now is riddled with problems. Riddled.
Yeah, but that's nuclear. See, that goes to Tiamat, that goes to Mars, and they're trying the nuclear trifecta, and we have to dissolve that meme because those are incarnates that are still on.
Alfred, yeah, let me say this, is that, you see, back in the 1920s, there was this big conspiracy in science. They were just developing quantum mechanics. That was just starting to come along back in the 1920s. And this huge discovery came about with Dr. Paul Dirac saying that, gee, the solution to the Dirac equation, you have positive energy, positive mass, negative energy, negative mass. We got a huge problem here. The problem is that you had the physical world and you had the metaphysical world. What this does, this is a solution. This negative energy is your unified field theory. They literally got rid of the negative energy because they didn't want to deal with the metaphysical. They only wanted to keep it a physical universe. And that's what we're left with in science, is a physical universe. Everything has to be positive energy, positive energy systems. We can't deal with this negative energy. We found a mathematical trick that gets rid of it because that unites the metaphysical world, okay? You have now a unified theory, a unified universe when you combine both positive and negative energy. They decided not to go that route. They had to get rid of it. Yeah. And they got rid of it using quantum mechanics. They invented quantum mechanics to hide the truth. And the truth is that there's an ether. There's negative energy. That's the truth. And they hid that with tricks that you find in quantum mechanics.
They didn't want us to evolve into a super race. They didn't want us to be able to go to a lot of other planets outside of the moon and a couple nearby ones. They didn't want us to be able to have super abilities. So they had to get rid of this. And they also wanted to tax you for electricity and for power. They wanted to tax you for power. They wanted to make it very expensive so they could control you more. So they took away all this information. Thank God, though, in a way, that they did, because Tesla's technology was a broadcast system, which when it went through your body and everything, after a while it could be detrimental to the biological.
Now, wait a minute, though, Aurora.
Yeah.
Is that the Tesla system has been grossly misunderstood,
misrepresented,
and misinterpreted by the physics community.
Right.
Okay. The Tesla wave move faster than the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
Move like something like 1.5 times the speed of light. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, wait a minute, that's impossible. It can't go faster than the speed of light. Mm-hmm. Well, it's been misinterpreted by the physics community.
Uh-huh.
And so now they're developing these systems.
Like the G5?
That, yeah, 5G, that are still utilizing the old way, the old thinking. They're not using, they've stolen Tesla's ideas, but they're not using what Tesla developed. It's been hijacked. His name's been hijacked, but misinterpreted and misused.
Right.
Okay? They're not using this negative energy component.
I see.
That's what Tesla used. That's how he was able to go faster than the speed of light.
Uh-huh.
It's because he was tapping into the negative energy realm, because that's what it does to your systems. Makes your systems much more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And its operation, you can go beyond the speed of light. That's
Well,
what I'm talking about at the conferences.
That's the conversation that you, Aurora, and I were having just a few days ago, because it was President Donald Trump's uncle, John T. Trump,
Right.
passed by the U.S. intelligence agencies to go and take possession of Tesla's papers and
Mm-hmm.
discoveries.
Right.
And so could you talk to that point? And
well, there has always been a control element.
Yeah.
A control element. Okay. Those who are in power always want to make sure that they're in control of everything that goes on. And the problem is, to what means, what end is questionable. Lots up for debate. The way Bill and I see it, we are going to roll uphill. It's hard to roll uphill. It's not as easy as rolling downhill, but we're going to get up there by releasing first technology that is biotech, and then going into the energy for smaller wattage systems worldwide. We can do business in many countries right now, and we are starting to open up angel investors in other countries, not as controlled as the United States has been, and not as worried about, the power structure being moved around a little bit. So when we start coming out with the emancipation of mankind, which is what energy is, okay, when you have the ability to live on a boat, in a cave, okay, in a remote location, where you can grow your food in a greenhouse in a remote location in poor weather, when you can desalinate water worldwide, there is going to be no shortage of food. There is going to be no shortage of places to live. And if you structure it correctly, you won't burn out the water, the fish, because you have to put limits and not allow net fishing like they do now. I mean, net fishing is one of the greatest sins right there. Net fishing, are you kidding me? It's just been very biologically destructive to the ocean. And, I could go on and on about all the wrong things that have been done, but I'm here to focus on what we're going to bring about that's going to get us going in the right direction. Okay? That's what it's all about. Get going in the right direction.
Right. No, so I think that we've addressed that issue, okay, for all the negative bombs of negativism. Remember that phrase?
What has been done has been done. We can only go forward.
Listen, after Mary and I's first program together with Mary and I did the first live radio program between the United States and the Soviet Union in history. And we had WBA.
That was Mary Houston, for those who are listening who don't know, out of NPR in New York City in 1983?
1987.
87, okay.
Yeah. And right after that, Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan got together and did their speech about if ever we had a threat from outer space. And they were talking about the invasion of the AI, of the sentient AI, the artificial intelligence that was really that Margaret Thatcher had the war in the Falklands about, allegedly, you know, that was under the Falkland Islands, that the Blue ETs had been trying to deprogram since World War I. And Thatcher went in April to June of 1982. They called it the Falkland Islands War, but it was really that Thatcher and Reagan attacked the Blue ET base underneath Tool Island, and because they were deprogramming the black goo that controlled the invading sentient AI that the Dracos and others had left here to explode the planet in case they were ever kicked off. And so they brought it back to England, and it was released inside Marconi Labs, and it escaped into the weather satellites, and that started the internet. But it also started Microsoft, and it started all the like viruses that we have, and then it started the iPhone, all our phones, and the sentient AI lives inside plasma and black goo. And that's why you see all the kids walking around now, but they have the negative backward universe controlling it. So they're all looking at maybe sometimes the wrong kind of programming. Like when they took out my eye, they weaponized my iPhone and took out the direct vision in my right eye. You follow me? So,
Wow.
yeah. So now what I see is that we can move into this sea of AI, and we can flip it right at the corner with the technology into either 0 point or balanced energy.
All right, let's talk about that for a moment now. One of the things, this is making more sense to me now, my life, you know, as you get pieces coming in all the time, you know. I was directed in 1981, strongly downloaded. I mean, basically hit over the head, to get some quartz crystals and to put 6 stones on the sides of them and a 7th on the top, and to have them as chakra stones for the auric field for the bodies of the light workers. And that they told me to make it a so many size millimeter stones and all that, with the opal and amethyst and all the stones, and to put the quartz crystal point a certain size and all that, and how it should be cut perfectly, optically clear quartz crystal. So I said, okay, I'll do it, because I've always loved jewelry anyway. So I said, I'll do it. And they said, well, don't look at this as jewelry. Look at this as a tuning fork for us upstairs, and a way to increase your auric field, which is dramatic. And then they taught, I studied kinesiology with Marcel Vogel, and I went on to show the difference on a person's strength level with a crystal and without one, with a chakra balancing crystal and without one. The difference is dramatic. So when you're being hit with these impedances, like we were talking about, this field dampening effect of the vitality pad can make a difference, because it can hold those negative imbalanced energy fields away from you, okay? So that you have a clear biosystem around you, and it's clear, and the crystal does the same thing. It increases your auric field, because they told me it's like a battery pack on a person, and they put it on, and it quickly attunes itself to your biorhythm, okay, and then it amplifies it, and so it's like, okay, So it's game on every day with the auric field amplified. Then imbalanced energies hit you out here at the edge of your aura rather than hitting you here on your biosystem. Okay, they never make it to your biosystem. They can't make it to your biosystem. They can't make it through the strong auric field you produced. Okay, so that's why the vitality pad, if you have it behind your back when you're sitting at a computer, then it's going to negate all that negative imbalanced energy you're getting off the computer and everything else. And so you're going to feel less fatigued, way less fatigued. And you're going to notice your biosystem works more efficiently. So quartz crystal is a good thing. Our technology is, our vitality pad is a good thing. And on the spaceships, Michael Alajan has said, and he's been aboard them many times, that they have quartz crystal in the center of the ship. And that is to put out this beautiful field of energy. They'll use a quartz crystal right in the center of the ships. So if you want to have good energy around you, a quartz crystal is the way to go. And a chakra balancing one, the masters have told me, is the ultimate. So that's why I've been making them since 1981 for light workers, literally all over the world. So I'll be happy to make them up for any light worker who gives me a call. And what it takes for me to keep the negative forces from hitting me, is not only a crystal, not only a vitality pad, but the right mental, emotional conditions too, to create those within your being. That you are your captain of your ship, that you are in control, that you are in control of your emotions and your thoughts. I mean, that's a very important aspect to it, not to give your power away. And I think a lot of people are exhausted maybe psychologically, and they give their power away unknowingly in many, many different ways. Okay? So strengthening yourself through the right food, through the right food, through the right thoughts, words, deeds, it all goes together. You don't have lasagna with just the noodles. So it's an energy recipe. And we all have to create this energy recipe so we aren't vulnerable. Okay, and so we want to strengthen the troops, the light workers out there as much as we can. My whole website, Vortex Network News, is all devoted to strengthening the ground troops of the Christ-centered energies here on planet Earth. That's my mission. That's my purpose. That's why I come to planetary systems. I am a cultural ambassador from higher worlds that has gone to many worlds and brought the good news of how we can do things better. So I always bring the latest, the greatest, the best wherever I go. That's my mission. That's my purpose. That's a reason for my existence on planet Earth. So why don't we all join together, strengthen one another by joining forces, pushing our agenda of strengthening ourselves forward so that we are not as vulnerable as we may have been in the past. And let's proceed boldly, courageously, fearlessly, go forward and create the golden age for planet Earth.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And thank you so much. I think that this is an historic, life-saving moment for the planet,
Yes.
for humanity,
Yes.
for the solar system, for all of our 7 billion souls,
Yes.
2 billion of which, according to the Ra group, are incarnates from Tiamat, from Maldek, from what astronomy tells us is now the asteroid belt. So
There are many who have incarnated from Maldek here on Earth to create create their, Maldek was very similar to Earth, it only a little bit more developed. Venus, on the other hand, was very different, and Mars was very different. Mars was actually highly evolved technology planet, and pretty highly evolved. But it always seemed to be under some kind of contention. You know, there always was some contention on Mars, whereas Venus is much more spiritually evolved in many ways. And the Venetians tried to incarnate here on Earth, and they were the blue people that is written about in ancient Sanskrit and drawn in pictures in India. The blue people were from Venus. And the Venetians were like brought in like yoga, you know, meditation, peacefulness of nature, peacefulness of being, serenity, you know, it was the vacation planet in our universe, in our little solar system and universe. Venus was a vacation planet. And they came here on Earth, and they still are on the higher fifth dimension. And they came here on Earth and they said, no, this isn't for us. We can't do this. It's just too tough. We cannot be who we are here in this circumstances. We have to bow out. I'm sorry. So we left. They left. They went back to Venus. But they are written about the beautiful blue people.
Yeah, and does this all flow from the Tiamat war or catastrophe? Is that kind of the root of it, of the whole?
The Maldek catastrophe.
Yeah, Maldek.
The Maldek catastrophe, yes.
Yeah. So what happened there, according to you? What you see?
Well, as I said, the Federation was very busy. When the Luciferian rebellion broke out 6 million years ago on Orion, the Federation was very concerned about protecting the planets with the highest, most greatest technology. We had to keep it out of the hands of any imbalanced energies. We couldn't allow our technology to be put in the hands of those who would use it to war against us and to war against mankind and the freedom of mankind. So we went to the most evolved planets. This is all in my book, by the way, Prepare for the Landings, which I think Bill emailed you a copy of.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah. So
what I'm talking about is the fact that, briefly, in 3 minutes, okay, I'll give you the history of the universe in 3 minutes. Okay, so when it broke out, the Luciferian rebellion on Orion, we weren't happy, believe me. We did not want this going on, but we couldn't stop it. Okay, it's like the do your own thing crowd at anyone's expense. That was Lucifer's battle cry, do your own thing. His battle cry was do your own thing. Does that sound familiar from the 60s? Okay, so it broke down all the advanced technology planets. If they were to come there, okay, it would screw it all up. It would make the whole universe a mess. We couldn't let them invade advanced technology planets. So we had to create an army to fight against them. And we created the Intergalactic Federation of Light. And I was one of the ones who suggested the formation of this union between us all, who did not want our cultures destroyed. That's why I became a cultural ambassador. To go there with the news of what was going on and to let each planet make its own choice. Did they want to be with the Federation or not with the Federation? The Federation laws are very good laws in my estimation. First of all, do no harm. Okay. Protect, okay, and serve. And it gets down to basic things, okay, about how you're going to live in a civilization. And Federation civilizations are usually high-level humanitarian civilizations.
The republics.
They are republics, they're not democracies. A lower level Federation planet, such as the Pleiades, which is not a very evolved planet compared to Orion. The Pleiades are kind of like kindergartners, and Orion, they're kind of like college professors. Okay, that would be the analogy. So on the Pleiades, when the Lucifer rebellion broke out, the Luciferians were pretty entrenched. And like, for example, Madonna came from the Pleiades. Okay, she was forced to incarnate here for penance because she was one of the bad ones when we cleaned them out. Okay, Madonna was one of the ones.
Madonna's pretty bad.
Madonna and Cher, Michael Jackson, they were all kicked off the Pleiades. They had to come here for penance. So anyway, it's interesting sometimes to look at it all, and well, it's tremendously interesting. So the Pleiades, when the Lucifer rebellion broke out, we went to them and we said, what are you going to do? Are you going to join the Federation, or are you going to go your own way? And they said, oh, we've always allowed everyone to come to our planet. We're real, like I would equate it to like Switzerland used to be for banking. Okay, anybody could bank there, right? Okay, well, anyone could live in the Pleiades, who wanted to. And we said, well, look, now with this new team coming in that doesn't respect any rules and regulations, it could be a real problem. And they said, well, we'll deal with it. And we'll call you if we need you. And we said, oh, you'll be calling, all right. You'll be calling. So sure enough, as time went on, their planetary system, the Pleiades, devolved. Okay, where tattoos and piercings and homosexual became common things: prostitution, homosexuality, bestiality, children, sexual abuse. All that stuff became common and tolerated on the Pleiades. Sound familiar? So when they couldn't take it anymore, when they were down to being rubbed out, they were in the gutter, they called us. And they said, would you come and kick these Luciferians off our system, planetary system? And we said, if you agree to the Galactic Pact rules, we will help you clear them out. And the Galactic Pact rules are based on high-level conduct. And they said, okay, we'll agree to them. And we said, okay, we'll help you. And so we threw them off the Pleiades star system. We got them all out, cleaned them all out. It wasn't easy, but we overpowered them. The Federation has much more advanced technology than any other group. So we cleaned them out of the Pleiades, and then all these souls who wanted to, do penance, we didn't want them to go back to the Pleiades because the Pleiades needed a break. And we said, okay, well, let them come to Earth. We'll let them come to Earth and continue their karmic evolution, their evolution into Dharma and freedom. So we let them incarnate here. And this has been a karmic training school originally, in which I go into in my book. You don't have to write it down, it's all in the book. So anyway, my 200-page book. When you understand that the Pleiades is only slightly more evolved than the United States, that the people here are, and stuff, they had a democracy there where everybody got equal vote. You can't go forward quickly when you're playing to the lowest common denominator, okay? The average person we found on Orion does not pay much attention to the social political issues going on, and it really isn't that well informed. So we decided on Orion many, many eons of time ago to elect officials to represent us in council. And that's called a republic. We have senators, congressmen, okay, just like we did in Rome. Rome was a kind of a demonstration of what Orion is like. Orion and Rome were very similar in many, many, many ways, except for we didn't drink out of lead pipes. And it made everyone nuts. That was the problem in Rome. The lead pipe issue didn't do well. Everybody degenerated because they went mad as hatters from mercury, and from mercury in England. Everybody was nuts from that. And then they were pushing in the heroin into England like crazy, into England and France, and from the East. And, you know, so Europe became decadent, man, and it became insane. And you know, that's how the Queen of England made all her money. You know, the recent queen was running heroin in the 1800s to their people. And, you know, who was behind that? The Onassis group. Who was behind that? As time went on, the CIA, Onassis, Sam Giancana. Sam Giancana was the American head of the mafia. And he was also connected to the CIA very strongly. And when I met him in Chicago, he told me about his life. And he told me about dating Jackie Kennedy. And he told me that, you know, CIA had to take out Kennedy because he turned on the mob. The mob let him take him out. The mob wanted the Kennedys out because they started to organize crime in America. The CIA wanted them out because they wanted the UFO information released. So there was this, and the mob wanted the Kennedys out because they wanted to continue the gambling operation in Cuba. And the Cuban Missile Crisis created a real problem. So they were going to lose a lot of revenue from gambling in Cuba. So that was really what took out the Kennedys, because the mob got them elected, and then they turned on them when they got in office and started organized crime in America. So, yeah, and so then Onassis blew the whistle and said, do it, take them out, take out the Kennedys. So Onassis, in the mob, the way the mob works is, if you screw them over, the way they get back to you is to kill you and then take your wife. So Jackie Kennedy was more than happy to let Onassis take her on his boat afterwards, because she knew she had no protection from the CIA, because she had watched her husband's brains being blown out by the chauffeur. The chauffeur took his gun out of his pocket in his suit, his black gun, and put it right here on his shoulder and popped Kennedy right in the head. That was the real bullet that took him out. You know, anything else that happened is kind of incidental. But Jackie saw this happening, okay? She saw, that's why she ducked down in the car instead of climbing out. She climbed out instead of ducking down. If your husband's has been blown out from somewhere outside the car, you would duck down, okay? She didn't duck down. She tried to climb out of the car. She saw the chauffeur do it. So she was on the right-hand side of Kennedy, and and she saw it happen. So she would start climbing out of the car. And so she knew the CIA wasn't going to protect her and her children. And so she thought, well, I better take up Onassis on his offer. And she went out with him. She started up with him. But Sam Giancana told me he had dated her. So apparently Jackie Kennedy had a thing for power and had a thing for powerful men and it didn't matter if they were the mob or not. And yet she's so idolized by Americana. Oh, one of the all-time greatest first ladies we've ever had. It's a joke. Get speechless.
Hey, that is inside information, which is mind expanding and amazing.
Sam Giancano told it all to me when I was only 15 years old, and I went to Chicago with my girlfriend for the weekend to go to the art museum and hear some jazz over there on Rush Street. I'd read all about Chicago, and I wanted to go see their art museums, and I wanted to go hear some great jazz. We dressed all up in brocade dresses and high heels, and we looked gorgeous. We walked into this place called Bananas Tropical Lounge in Chicago on our way to Rush Street, because as we were driving by, I saw these Lincolns and Cadillacs in the parking lot. And I said to my girlfriend, pull in there, I want to see what's going on. So we pull in there, we stand there in this cocktail lounge. It's a restaurant and cocktail lounge. We're standing there like just looking around at everybody. It was all men. I said, this is weird. It's all men in here. What is going on in this place? And then I said, just keep standing here. Don't even move. Just keep standing here. Eventually something's going to happen. So they were all kind of ignoring us at first and probably thinking we were hookers or something. But, so finally, all these guys at the bar, I was watching them do transactions for their drinks, and they had rolls of $1,000 bills back then. Okay, 500 and thousands. They don't even make them anymore. So I'm looking at all this, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a weird place. I've got to figure out what's going on here. So I just keep standing there, and it's about 5 minutes goes by. And all of a sudden, through this double doorway where the restaurant was, where the restaurant is, walks this kind of shorter guy flanked by two tall, huge guys, one on each side. They're walking up to me, and they come up, and he goes, hi, who are you? And I said, well, my name I was born with, and from Detroit. And he says, Kathy. I said, I'm Kathy Town from Detroit. He said, Kathy Town from Detroit. Huh. He says, I'm Sam Giancano. I said, okay. I didn't know who he was. And he says, I own Chicago. I said, very good. He said, kudos, that's great. And so he says, I'm wondering if you and your girlfriend would join me and my friends for dinner. I said, we're starving. We had just driven in from Detroit, and we were so hungry. I said, yes, we will. And so, I was drinking the martinis, eating the filet mignon, having a great time. I'm thinking this is where it's at. Okay, so he says, where are you staying? And I told him where. And the old Midway Airport. And in Chicago, where this police officer told me it was a good place to stay because I wouldn't probably get raped and it was cheap. So I was like, and he said, oh, you can't stay there. I'm going to put you up at the Ambassador, And I said, no, I don't want that. I am perfectly fine where I'm at. I did not want to be obligated to them in any way. So he said, well, can I see you tomorrow night? And I said, yeah, you can pick me up for dinner. So he'd take me out for dinner every night all over Chicago. And finally, after about 4 nights of this, it came to an abrupt end when I was told him I was leaving and going back to Detroit. He didn't like that. And it wound up being a showdown between the Federation and Sam Giancano. They had to intervene to save my life so I could get out of Detroit. And I can't tell you the whole story because it's so wild. But next time I'll continue it. It'll be the end of our interview. Okay, I'll do Aurora's exciting adventures at the end of each interview. When I got back to Detroit the next day, a guy came up to me in the bar It was next to the Saks Fifth Avenue that I went to do a little shopping to calm my nerves from Chicago. It was so crazy. So I called my boyfriend. I said, give me your car. I'm going shopping. And he gave me his car for the day, and I went shopping. And while I was shopping, I just couldn't stop shaking. I was so nervous. And I said, oh my God, I'm going to go next door and just get a drink. Maybe it'll calm down my nerves. So I went next door to this bar next door. I sat down at the bar stool. No one was in the bar. It was 3 p.m. And it was this beautiful old-fashioned wooden bar, like from the 1920s. And it was just gorgeous. And I was sitting there just looking at the beautiful bar. And the bartender who was standing in front of me, all of a sudden his face went like blank. He looked like he had seen something really scary. And then he walked out into the back room, went through a doorway and went into a back room. And I'm sitting there all by myself thinking, what is going on here? And all of a sudden this man from behind me, I didn't even hear him walk in because there was music playing, says, don't turn around. Just like that. And I go, okay. He goes, Kathy Town? And I said, yes. So I'm thinking my brains are going to be splattered all over the room any second. But then I thought, probably not, because a lot of blood would get all over this bar, and they probably wouldn't like that. So the bartender wouldn't like it. So I'm thinking, okay, what's next? I'm thinking to myself, now what? He goes, I've got a message for you from Sam from Chicago. I said, really? No, I'm thinking, no, for sure my brains are going to be blown out right now. So then he goes, don't ever come back to Chicago. He says, and I said, oh, I'm not going to. Tell him no problem. He goes, don't turn around as I walk out or I'm going to have to kill you. I said, no problem. So the bartender comes back in from the back room where he'd been hiding, probably crouched in the floor. So he comes back in, he looks at me, and I look at him and I said, make that a double. And we just started laughing so hard. Yeah, it was real life. I don't watch dramas on TV. I've got my own. But anyway, yeah, that was when in my youth, when I was so innocent and naive. I didn't even know that Sam Giancana could exist. I didn't even know a person like him existed. But,
yeah, these are, those are the kind of the intersections of the intersections of the two perpendicular universes, wouldn't you say, Bill?
Yeah. Although I never had that kind of an experience.
he was in Chicago and he didn't have that experience. He was at
Right. I mean, it's like the time forward universe and then the out of sync universe intersect in the two persona of Sam Giancana. And
he actually sent a hitman to my hotel to like he hit me after I got away from him.
Yeah.
I mean, the story is longer and it's more interesting, but I'll tell you all that part of it another time, or unless we want to do it right now, I'll get it over with. All right. So what happened was he had a key to a hotel room, to a motel room that was you could just walk right up to and open the door. No one would see you, entrance from outside. And he said, come on in. And he took this gun out and put it on in his car and had it facing me. And I said, well, see, you put it that way. I guess I will come in. So I came into the hotel room and I stood there kind of begging for my life in a way. I said, now, Sam, you don't want to do anything you're going to regret. He said, get undressed. I said, I don't want to. do you really, are you going to try and force me to have sex with you? And with that, divine intervention occurred. Just as I was about to, I had my dress lifted up to my mid thigh because he kept telling me to get undressed. And at that moment, divine intervention occurred. And I was pulling my dress back down.
Huh.
And I said to him, and we just looked at each other. And he said, he walked up to me, he grabbed me by my face and he pinched it. And he said, I should mess up that beautiful face so no one will ever love it again. And I said, Sam, you got what you wanted. Why don't you just take me back to your hotel now and call it a night? But nothing had happened. Okay, we were both overshadowed. We were both completely overshadowed.
Wow.
And so we were both in a trance, a total trance. He drove me back to my hotel room, to my hotel. It was a big, huge hotel by Midway, the old Midway Airport that had been closed down right after it was built. They didn't have the business. They didn't have the business in Chicago for this airport. And so all the hotels that had been built there were all these huge high-rise around the hotels were all empty. And so they were giving away rooms for $29 a night to truck drivers. And so I thought, so I was like 15 years old. My girlfriend was 16. We thought, this is perfect. We'll stay there. So I walk into the hotel lobby and I see these two men nudge each other. And they're all dressed in black. And they're like nudging each other when they see me. And I go, uh-oh. So I go in the hotel elevator and I go up to my room. My girlfriend's sitting in our room crying. I go, what's wrong, Sharon? She said, everything we have is stolen. She says, there's not even a bobby pin. I think this is weird. What in the hell's going on here? And I said, well, I just escaped a rape. And I said, and there's two hitmen down in the lobby. I think we better go out the stairway, down the back stairs to your car right now before anything bad happens. So we go down to our car and we speed off. And we're hiding on the freeway. And I see a coffee shop lit up on the freeway. It's like in the middle of the night now. It's like midnight, 1 in the morning, something like that. So we pull in there and I tell her what happened. And she goes, oh my God, that's just so horrible. We're gonna have to call my father and he's gonna have to get the police involved in this. We're gonna have this man arrested. Still too stupid to know that Sam Giancano, who he is, okay? Did not realize it at all. And so she says, there's two police sitting there at the counter, eating their donuts and coffee as usual, right? And so she says, we're going to tell them, and we're going to get this guy, we're going to get a warrant for his arrest. We're going to have this guy arrested. I said, okay. So the police, we tell them the story, and they go, oh, that's very interesting. That is very interesting. Well, come on, we're going to take you over to the headquarters so you can make a formal report. We said, okay. We walk out to their car. I knew we were in trouble right then when he said to my girlfriend, you get in the front seat and you get in the back, he says to me. I thought, oh God, this is going to be bad. So he drives us over to Lake Michigan, the cops, and he says to me in the back seat, take off your clothes. I said, no. He says, take off your clothes right now or I'm going to kill you. I said, go ahead. He goes, take off your clothes now. He says, or I swear, I'll kill you. I said, go right ahead. So he goes, the other cop says to my girlfriend, take off your clothes. And she goes, no. So he says, we could throw you right here into Lake Michigan, shoot you and throw you right in right here. And my girlfriend goes, I can swim. I'm like, I go, shut up, Sharon. He goes, well, I said, look, you're not going to rape me. That's all there is to it. You understand? It's just not going to happen. Okay, so he settles down, the cop, and he goes, all right. After arguing with me for a long time, you know, he just gives up. He goes, all right, I'm going to take you back to your car. But I want you to know this. Sam Giancana owns Chicago. And Sam is going to be very mad, as in kill me, if I let you go with the story and you go running around town with it. And I go, okay, I promise you I'll just get in my car and drive back to Detroit. And he goes, we will escort you to the border. I said, good, we'll make better time. Yeah, that's why the next day I needed a drink to go shopping. I gotta get some therapy. Oh, God. I mean, that was something else. But, you know, that just goes to show you how divine protection can get you through almost anything, you know? Really?
That is, I mean, that's just a timeless story. And I'm just wondering again, the word timeless, again, is that 0 point, Bill. You know, it's that 0 point. You get where the two universes intersect, and you get to a 0 point where Aurora Light and Sam Giancana met, and the two forces
That's
met.
what I want.
You know, and we were just talking about the alliance of the CIA and the mafia, and here the cops, you know, they said, we're going to escort you out of town because we're
This
powerless.
story gets out, we're toast.
They have compromised law in America, and that's a paradigm that is still extant.
Don't think your country's any better either.
No.
Trump has done it.
Citizen. I'm a dual citizen of the United States of America Corporation and of British Columbia and of Canada. So,
well, I know Truffaut is in it with the Good Old Boy Network.
The what?
Truffaut is in with the Good Old Boy Network.
You should read my current article. I don't know. Hey, we're on the same side.
I believe it. I wouldn't be doing the show.
Yeah. No. So our current article at News Inside Out exposes the Liberal Party of British Columbia and of Canada, which is now trying to ramrod through the Kinder Morgan pipeline against the Aboriginals and against British Columbia, which would send all the tar sands oil over to China and fuel the fossil fuel with the worst polluting oil and ruin Canada's ecology. And that's what Trudeau is trying to push, right?
Right.
Boom. And if you trace it back, the same party, the Liberal Party, both the federal Liberal Party, Alan Rock, and at the provincial level, they had Lockheed Martin. They gave them the contract to do the Canadian census, where Canadians were outraged, and they gave them the contract to take over the British Columbia ferries, which are part of the highway system. We had to give up our business and our house out on Salt Spring Island because the ferries were all jacked up because Lockheed Martin took it over. And then 2 weeks before that, we did the expose where they had a 34-year employee of Lockheed Martin infiltrated as mayor in a Long Island city to do an experiment with the directed energy weapons on mind control. And then we discovered that the Canadians who even objected to a US defense contractor doing the Canadian census, they assassinated them with Lockheed Martin directed energy weapons. And that's all in our article. So it's like the two universes collided at the 0 point, which is exactly on Friday, May 18th, which is the anniversary of the ascension of our Lord Jesus Christ. Boom. Isn't that awesome? That is awesome.
Well, here's the deal. We're up against a force that doesn't want to see the Christ forces prevail. And, you know, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, yeah. And what happens when, what do they call it? When the immovable object meets the what? Bill, you're the scientist.
Yeah.
Bill,
When a immovable object meets, what's that saying? Don't you know?
No.
remember that?
No.
No.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Anyway, yeah.
I know. I'm vaguely remembering that saying. It's in the back of my mind somewhere.
Yeah.
I gotta access it.
Yeah. So it's like Sam Giancana from one universe met you from another universe at a 0 point, right? And it was like it didn't happen. The rape didn't happen. And
it didn't happen at all. And because and yet I thought it did when at that moment. But then afterwards, when I went home and checked myself, I could tell there was nothing that happened, absolutely zero that happened. And
right.
He was made to think that he had already got it, and I was made to think he had already did it. But I remember looking over at the bed going, that doesn't even look used.
Well, you know, it's that saying from Star Wars. These are not the droids you're looking for.
Okay, so in other words, they're so powerful upstairs. Our friends upstairs are so powerful. They can intervene in earthly situations and change the outcome at any time.
Right.
So don't think we're not. We don't have anything to really worry about. We just have to be diligent and fight the evil as hard as we can. By educating people, by making the right choices in our own life, of what we think, say, do, eat, breathe, you know, it's all our choice. Well, we have to make it our choice to take the best. We have to make it our choice to take the best, leave the rest. Okay?
Right.
That's the whole idea. Take the best, leave the rest. Maybe you can give me one that's not.
Yeah. Now, this is so powerful because I want to take this moment and bring it back to Aurora Tech, which is a fusion of you two awesome beings taking the 0 point beyond the 0 point, bringing it down to practical application for healing, for biotechnology, for all of the applications. So
the plant growth is phenomenal.
Yeah. So tell us, so bring us back in there. So people now get wrapped up. We've been full circle and they've seen all of the miraculous power. They've seen all of that. They've witnessed it. They've seen how you've witnessed it. Now bring us back home. Bring us back to where they can find it. Bring us back to what's available.
My extraordinary life has brought me to this point, to bring this technology to mankind. I mean, I have learned the truth about what's going on this planet in many arenas. I'm not as naive as I was at 15 when I was putting on my first pairs of high heels, right? I now understand what's going on here on this planet and the difference light workers can make by being forceful, energetic, and committed to their mission. Okay, and that's what it takes. Get behind the mission with money, energy, and love. Okay, get behind it. Cooperate with the highest and make it happen here on Earth. Bring it into balance. That's our mission. It's to bring Earth to the light, to bring it into the light and get it out of escrow where it's been for so long. That's why we don't have contact with other worlds. It's because the Federation doesn't allow it, because there's too much negativity here, too much evil here, that would only take the technology and turn it against us and use it as weaponry. So it's gotten to the point now where the Federation are going to have to intervene if they're using these mind control weapons against us and stuff. The Federation is either going to have to take a stance and Christ will return imminently, or we are going to overcome them here on Earth. The Earth troops will overcome them and stop them from doing this any further, because this is not going to be allowed. The Federation is not going to allow this mind control weaponry to be used on us. It's that simple. We're either going to expose them, stop them, or there's going to be divine intervention. They can't allow this kind of mankind to be tortured any further. It's gotten to the point where they're so outraged upstairs by what's going on down here with our leaders that, you know, some say we should have intervened a long time ago and stopped Fukushima from happening and stuff. We should have came down in force and just broke it all up, which we could have. But there's going to be a lot of problems when doing that. It's not really the solution. It's going to create a lot of other problems. So that's why the Federation is trying to get their volunteers in Earth embodiment, such as yourself, me, and Bill, to activate as much as we can. Get behind what we can, the movements we can, the energy we can, and this technology, and push it forward, because it's going to liberate mankind. It is the liberation of central control. It's the liberation of central control. When each person can have their own battery pack for a refrigerator, stove, air conditioner, heating, when you can run a desalinization plant anywhere on Earth cost-free, basically, because the only cost is in the technology. There's no cost to run it. There's no cost to run the technology. So when each country can afford desalinization, irrigation, greenhouses, because they don't have to pay for the heating and cooling, because they just buy the Aurora technology and they got the heating cooling problem solved. They got the light bulb problem solved because the technology is built right into the light bulb. That's going to be a different world. It's going to be completely different than anything we've ever imagined. It is the total end of the plug-in, which you didn't have in your presentation, which is very nice. The end of the plug-in.
Which was predicted by Asimov.
Yeah, tell them that story.
The last World's Fair. I think it was, what was that, 63?
Yeah, in the 1960s.
Or 60.
It was in the 1960s.
Yeah, it was in the 1960s. They asked Asimov, you know, what's the future world going to look like in 50 years? And he said, it'll be the end of the plug-in. Everything will be self-powered. And I thought that was an incredible prediction, because exactly 50 years is where we introduced our technology at the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yeah. We introduced it to the Consumer Electronics Show, and some engineers from Korea, from Japan, from South Korea, from Japan, from Russia, from Africa, from Haiti, from the United States, they all invested with us. None of them were rich people. None of them were rich, but they were rich in spirit. And they saw what we had, and they went, wow, this is it. I will help you guys. I'll give you a little bit of money here to help you keep it going, keep that train chugging along. And when you're ready, you get to the end of the development, I'll help you connect with all the millionaires when you're ready to debut your product. So that's where we are now. We're ready to debut the product soon with the biotech. The plant, the fast growth plant technology is the least, you should say, a way of introducing our technology without rocking the boat big time. Okay, So that's why we're coming out with the fast grow technology first. Plus the marijuana industry is making thousands of dollars per plant. If they can increase their yield by 50% and they can grow it faster, they're going to be clapping their hands and order millions of these. So the investors have a great window of opportunity to make some money, to sell out early some of their stock, hold on to some of the other while it rides the wave. Because I predict Aurora Tech will go up to $1,000 a share over and over again and make the people who have invested at this early seed stage multimillionaires. So, you know, it says in the Bible, the first will be last and the last will be first. It's interesting to me that the first countries to get our technology is like Haiti and Africa, okay, who have suffered so much under the corrupt regimes. So this is really a change where the light workers get to have the upper hand now. We're going to be able to take charge of our growing facilities and grow things faster, smarter. High aeroponics is the way of the future. You know, just misting the root system with nutrients is the way to go. There's going to be no more dirt involved in growing food in the future. They don't grow like that aboard the spaceships. Everything is aeroponically grown on shelves, little slats and the little chrome shelves, and then the roots hang down, and you keep the roots trimmed nicely, and you mist them every day with nutrients and water so they don't dry out, and you absorb the nutrients directly into the plant much faster that way. With our technology, we can speed it up so it's absorbed much, much better, much faster. And just our technology just has to be within a foot of it and or right under the root system or above it. And it's going to get the same field effect. So we're very excited about the future because the future is going to bring us in opportunities we haven't even guessed are going to be available. But they're going to come turn the corner. We're not going to have any more carbon monoxide poisoning. That's going to be over with very soon. Everything's going to go electric like in Europe. And in Europe, they're going to embrace our technology for cars instantaneously, as you can well imagine. Now, my family, as I told you, is the Ford family, Ford Motor Company from Detroit. And I'm from Detroit, and my family is the Ford Motor Company. So when I get the technology ready to introduce it to them, I hope they'll be open and receptive. Just coming out with a self-charging energy management system for their vehicles. So, you know, the way I see it, we're headed on the good ship lollipop. Aurora Tech is the good ship lollipop, and we're on our way to the candy shop. We're going to actually have, for the first time, some money to back us up. Those who are the seed investors right now are actually going to be making some money for probably the first time in their lives. And it's because God wanted it this way. God wanted, for some reason, the New Agers to be humble and broke. And now we've gotten to the point where we need some money to continue on our journey. And it's going to come to us now that we're older, wiser, and we'll spend it smarter. God's going to allow us to have some money now. Maybe he was afraid that the light workers just would have went rogue and put it off their nose or something. God didn't want us spending it on, just horrible debauchery. And, God wanted us to have the brains, the wisdom, and the insight to spend it in the most intelligent way possible.
Yeah. One of my favorite books back in the kind of the 80s was Money is God in Action. Did you ever get into that book or that kind of philosophy?
One of the sayings I've always said is that money allows you to be more of what you already are.
Well, the thing is not unlawful wealth, but wealth that is an expression of righteous abundance coming from
Our
source.
founding fathers,
And
which I'm
that,
picking up you were there. I'm picking up you were a founding father. Okay, did you
Oh.
ever feel that? Did you ever feel a connection with the founding fathers?
well, the one that I most identified with, because he was from the West Indies, was James Madison.
Well, they're telling me upstairs that you had some French alliances back then, and you were living in Louisiana, and that you were involved in politics back then. Okay, so it might have been one of your ancient relatives. One of your
Oh
little
yeah,
relatives.
oh yeah. Well, Alfred, I'm named after you know, political figures in Louisiana politics.
That's who you were.
Yeah,
That was the person you were.
yeah,
That's why you were named after him.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yes, that's what we're telling me upstairs. That that the founding fathers of the United States spent their fortunes creating the United States.
Yeah,
And they were all leveraged and maxed out and had gambling debts to try and earn money. You know, Andrew Jackson was famous for his gambling, and all the founding fathers were famous for, you know, pulling money out of everybody's ass, so to speak, to get it to get us to the finish line.
yeah.
I mean, there was nobody funding the United States of America except for Americans.
Right, because it was not a royal project.
No, it
and,
wasn't.
And it came out of the revolution.
Exactly.
And we were trying to keep clear of the Rothschilds, as far as I can
Totally. And George Washington's job was to raise money to keep this country going. And he had to pull it out of, that's why he had the merry men around him. He was tapping them every minute. All the founding fathers were always digging into their pockets, putting money on the table to make the next thing happen. We loved doing what we did, but we gave everything we had to do it.
Right, right. Is this like a group soul that you're tapping into when you say things like that?
It's not really a group soul, it's a group.
Oh.
Purpose is aligned. They are a group of souls, many souls, whose purpose is aligned and have committed and devoted themselves to bringing planet Earth into the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We didn't want to do it in a bloody way, really. We didn't want to come in and say, okay, well, you know, it says in Revelations of the Bible, these things do not have to happen. They are warnings of what can happen. It says that very clearly.
Uh-huh.
So, if we can take on the role of leadership here on the planet and guide it in the direction that we know it must go, we're going to be liberated from the dark forces. They will fall away. Generation after generation, they will become more weakened. As we see now, a lot of the grandchildren of these multimillionaires rejecting their grandfathers and great-grandfathers' way of doing business and going, wait a minute, it's got to be a better way. Some of that is going on nowadays, you know, where a liberation and awareness is coming about. In fact, I was told by them upstairs that a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, everybody on the planet was contacted and asked, do they want to go with the Federation or not? And what the rules and regulations were going to be. And everybody on the planet voted to go with them. That there was nobody really who wanted to go in the bad direction. And they said, okay, then support it, be it, do it. So we do have soul commitments here from many of the members of Earth, many of the, you know, the beings here on Earth to graduate and join the Federation. A lot of them do want to be in the Federation. They don't want to go rogue. I'm told the Federation deliberately contacted each individual on the planet saying, this is it, your 2 choices, which do you want? So it's showdown at the OK Corral for sure. And, you know, we're going to either make it happen without their help directly, or we're going to have direct divine intervention, one of the two. So either way, this planet's not going to be sacrificed. It's not going to be happening. Too much has gone into this, and it's not going to be allowed.
You are just such a pillar of strength and an awesome representative of the Federation.
Oh, you're so sweet, Alfred. I think you're the same of you.
Oh,
I think your life has been a life of service and dedication, and it's really great. So, you know, dedication and service is what it's all about here to make it happen here on planet Earth. And everybody jumps in at the level that they're comfortable with, you know. And for me, it's true. I am pretty fearless. In fact, a famous astrologer told me you're the most fearless person I've ever met. And I said, well, you could equate that with stupid too. Right, only idiot walks out in the middle of traffic. So, yeah, you know, it's a duty and it's a mission that I think you're a part of. And I think you're aware of that on a conscious level. And it's, you know, it's what makes a light worker, really.
wow. Bill, you're talk to us, Bill.
So,
Enjoying the show.
What?
there will be a show. He
I'm
loves
a listener
mine.
listening to the show.
I love Bill's show too. So Bill, invite our listeners to contact us and come into our investor pool on any level they're comfortable with.
Right.
And be a part of the team here as we go forward. We're working on a rollout now with an African country, a $400 million rollout. So I hope to package that up here soon and open up a big manufacturing facility and go forward here very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to launch our 3 divisions: biotech, energy, and space.
All 3 will be launched with the $4 million rollout.
Mm-hmm.
$400 million.
That is just awesome. That is absolutely awesome. And,
well, it's a shame that I have to go to Africa to get the money. I can't get it right here in Phoenix where there's a pile of it sitting.
Yeah,
you know,
well, yeah, sure. I can, I understand that completely. And because just in the past less than a year, we were doing work in alternative currencies, and all the roads in progressive finance led to Africa. And we've done interviews with King Cornelius of the State of Good Hope that was declared, it's right at Southern Africa.
How is it going with them?
I'm sorry?
How is it going with Africa?
Yeah, I mean, everyone on the planet has DNA that comes from the State of Good Hope. And it's a fusion of many peoples, of the peoples that are from there, that was both in the Kalahari Desert and in the Sahara. They were the breadbaskets in Atlantis before the last Atlantis Mu War. And we had Mel Vey on as a guest, and she's from that area, and she's proved in her dragonology that they have the technology to feed 6 billion people in the high-tech agricultural technology in what's now the Kalahari Desert. See, both the Sahara and the Kalahari are now deserts because of the nuclear wars they had in the last Atlantis and Mu wars. You follow?
How do you think we got the desert here in the Southwest?
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, when we travel all around the Southwest, I point out to Bill all the big, huge blocks of ancient buildings that you see in crumbles, all the burnt, area where it was devastated from a blast, the fires. And you can actually see the gigantic pyramids all over Arizona. And, when they were digging in downtown Phoenix, they found ancient Egyptian, what they described on the 5 o'clock news as ancient Egyptian and Roman golden artifacts. But really what they were was Atlantean, okay? And they were putting in 4 or 5 levels deep down under underground parking when they discovered this. So I think it's the 12,000 year ago, war that took place that had quite a devastating effect on things.
Right. And according to some of the Buddhist, we did some interviews with and this goes back to some of the inner earth technology and knowledge that is not brought to the surface much. But if you have the dual sun, which is symbolized by the yin-yang symbol, if you have the yin-yang symbol, the 2 dots at the end of the yin-yang are actually the dual sun. Well, every 12,500 years, they come together, and the magnetics of that produces both a high golden age in consciousness, but also a lot of rock and roll rumble because the 2 suns are together. And then they do a figure 8. And when they're the poles apart, that is when you pass through what's called the Kali Yuga. And that's when our Lord Jesus Christ landed on earth, because the energy, you were like in the, whoa, you had to really bring in the cosmic law. And you see, so it's this,
all right, here's
it is a perpetual energy machine.
Okay, so the Mormons, you've heard of the Mormons.
Oh yeah. The angel Moroni, I-Moron. Tell me more.
Okay, I-Moron. Okay, all right. And Ashtar could be ashtray and so on. God could be dog. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, but, all right. So when he found those golden tablets in the United States, in North America, that was the beginning of his religion. And, they have a very interesting belief system if you get to the core of it, okay, and you drop all the BS around that can get built up as time goes on. Let's just get to the core of it. Okay, here's a core belief that an advanced group of human-appearing extraterrestrials who are associated with the Christ energies, who are all Christed masters themselves in many ways, okay, may have all travel together to universes, and they bring about Christ consciousness on different planetary systems. And when they came to Earth, they were like, oh God, this is really a mess. The Anunnaki, the reptilians, the originals, the ones who were stuck on the wheel of karma, the humans. What are we going to do about all this? What a mess. You can't even tell the Luciferians and the evil ones from the innocents, so we're all sucked into it. What do we do? So we said, well, it is quite a mess there on planet Earth. It is a dastardly mess indeed. What shall we do? Okay, we will send down teachers. We will send down teachers and see if they can live long enough to teach them anything. Okay, let's do it. So we started sending down our teachers. You go here, you go there, you go here, you go there. Trying to teach them a higher way. So they're preparing the way for Christ. Okay. Christ was the big preparation. And frankly, where was Christ during Atlantis? Everybody wants to know. Where was Christ and the Christ forces during Atlantis? Well, his attention was turned to our more evolved planets that had even more advanced technologies and that were like in jeopardy of going to the dark side. So he had to get in there and, you know, head the teams to make it happen on those more advanced planets. And so by the time we squelched the rebellion on all the more advanced planets and took a breath and looked at Earth, and we said, wow, things really got bad down there. You know, they're much worse than we ever expected. We got Maldek gone, we got Mars gone, Earth is being terrorized. It's a bad, bad, bad scene. And so we said, all right, we are going to monitor everything very, very closely from here on out. We're going to put some ships on this. We're going to do a full-time monitoring of everything going on Earth. We're going to bring in lots of volunteers. We're going to bring in the 144,000. Okay, so the strongest were chosen from upstairs who they thought could stand being down here. Okay, because it's not easy. I mean, look at Christ. Did he have it easy? No, he didn't. Was he meant to be crucified? Probably. They knew. Earth has a history of killing all the good people. You know, if you got a message and your head's above everybody else's, you're standing a head above everyone else. It's like, okay, that head's coming off. You know, it's like they have a history, Earth people, of crucifying a lot of people in many different ways. And so we're always shocked when one of our volunteers can make it to the finish line. And now they've been given more protection from upstairs. It's gotten so bad down here that they have to give us more protection. And they said that they will. They said there won't be any more sacrifices going on. Yeah, they did allow a lot of them in the 60s to get taken out. Okay, a lot of light workers were taken out in the 60s and 70s, 80s, but it's like been squelched. Now the whole assassination program has pretty much been eliminated to get the revolutionaries.
Yeah.
Okay, here it's not as bad as it was.
Yeah, and so would you think that the assassination order has been lifted on President Trump? You know, with
no, actually, they would love to kill him, but they can't, and they know they can't.
Yeah.
Because he's got divine protection.
Right.
But they would love to kill the whole family on.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of hatred out there towards a republic, creating a republic.
Now, what's the difference between a republic and a democracy in your mind?
Okay, let's be very clear.
No, but are you talking about a monarchical democracy like Britain, or a real democracy, or a republic, or what? It's kind of confusing. Tell me.
All right. Well, let me try and simplify it as clearly as possible. When you give everyone an equal vote in your country, the most uneducated, the most ignorant, the most stupid, the most near-death people can get a same equal vote as the most well-educated, the most wise, the most benevolent, the most kind and nurturing of leader. Okay, so you've got your ignorant masses that you'll always have in every society. Not everyone is going to pay attention to learn the game of life, okay, and what it's all about. Not everyone is going to take the time out to really be a deep thinker and go really deep with all this. And so because of that, if you have a democracy like the Pleiades did, every person gets an equal vote. The most intelligent people's vote is the same as the most ignorant. So you're not going to go forward fast, okay? You're not going to quickly be able to go forward as a rule. You're going to move very slowly. So in a republic, you try and hold up some exemplary people. Some people who are well-educated, wise, and compassionate, and able to look at things clearly and make the best of all decisions for all concerned without sacrificing the highest good. Okay, so a republic from which we stand, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. That was written by them upstairs, channeled through the masters that created this society that we are living in right now, basically. Okay. The republic of which we stand. Okay. The republic. That means you find some exemplary people in your neighborhood. You find one person that you like, that's the best, and you run that person for office. And that every person does that. Everybody does that all over. They take the best from what they can take out of their cities, their communities, and they take that person and they say, we want to run you. We're going to give you some money and energy. We're going to get behind you. Okay, that's a republic, is that you elect people that you think are going to be the best at it. And if they don't do well, the next election, you boot them out. And you get somebody new.
Well, that's the normal democratic process, as I understand it.
No, it's not. Because the person you elect votes in the councils, in the Senate, in the Congress, in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
For action on different bills in front of them.
Yeah.
They represent you at Congress and Senate and House of Representatives. They represent you. You're not in there voting on these bills. They are. You're not. They are.
Yeah, no, right.
Okay.
But
That's
I
the
mean,
difference between a democracy and a republic.
No, but they got there because, see, what the key factor, the difference is called corruption.
Well, that's when you're supposed to get rid of those people quickly and move on to somebody who represents you properly.
Yeah, and so that is where you have special interests and special elites and what I call bloodlines. In other words, the proposal that I've put out is that to eliminate the state power given to monarchies and religions should have no more state power. Because why should one family be given all this state power? Why should one religion like the Vatican or an Islamic state or an Israeli Jewish state be given state power? Because it's all belief systems. You see what I'm saying? Or it's families. It's just like,
We're divided up here on planet Earth. Most planets are divided up in their rulership. We're divided up in our rulership. Okay? We've got all these subdivisions all over the whole planet. It's a mess. It's a huge mess.
But we have a constitutional. See, if you go to positivefuture.info, that's where I put out my plan, which is, I said, support my initiative to be Earth's representative to the Regional Galactic Governance Council. And then I've got 10 different things for my platform, okay?
Okay, well, being a planetary ambassador, I understand.
Yeah.
All right, so what we want to do is go forward in strength and dignity and compassion. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. No, yeah. I
They need
understand.
compassion.
And so you're getting the Sam Giancanas and the mafia out of politics.
They're going quickly.
Yeah, and you're getting all of that corruption and that pernicious influences out of politics.
It's been dying. It's been dying on the vine.
Yeah. And so then it's clean. And so that in 2018 and in 2020, you're going to have clean, so that people are looking at issues, and it's, you know, so that it's really for the benefit of the planet, the people.
I can equate it to going into a dirty house.
Yeah.
And your house, and you clean it. You clean it from top to bottom. You clean the windows so you can see clearly out. You clean the whole house. You dust it every day.
Yeah.
You dust it every day to keep it from becoming dirty.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
we have to be ever vigilant, to not let the evil overcome good.
Right, exactly. Now, how does that relate to the mission of all of your enterprises?
Well, Bill and I both being very metaphysical and spiritual, both being very plugged in. Bill's very psychic. He's incredibly psychic, and he's incredibly plugged in, you know. And so we've given us a long, hard thought about how we want to bring out the technology here on planet Earth, you know, how to roll it out in the most wise way possible. And we came out with the biotech first, doing the nano water for people's health and plants and animals, and growing. And growing, we figured that is like an easy inroad. We can manufacture the technology easily, quickly. We can ship it out to countries that need it quickly. And we can get the growing cycles going better for them so that they have more food to eat in so many starving planets, places on Earth here. Okay, so now let's get to water. Okay, so our nano water conditioning system helps the plants. You know, when you have a disc with the plants, or you condition the water that you drink, it's going to help the absorption, as we were talking about. So we get that out. Then we start rolling out the Go Power Up systems. 50 watts, 100 watts, 250, 500. And we do little licensing deals with a light bulb company in Japan, a light bulb company in Southern Korea, a scooter company in India. You know, we have projects lined up for us. So a battery charging system, scooters in India, you know, battery charging systems, all this stuff. No more plugins in the future. We're not going to have any wires in our walls in the future. No more wires in the future, in the walls. Nothing. There will be nothing in the walls. It will be, everything will have a self-charging energy management system like a flashlight today. Only there'll be a supercapacitor in there that'll last 50 years instead of a battery. And with our field damping in effect, it remains self-charging. So your washer, your dryer, refrigerator, all these places, I'm planning on contacting Westinghouse, see if they want to play ball with us, want us to put our technology in their appliance line. I'm planning on licensing them with them. I'm planning on doing El Toro lawn supplies. I'm planning on doing Black & Decker tools for construction sites. And we can put a team of engineers on each project to adapt the technology for that need specifically. And Bill can oversee many teams at the same time. So that's why we're going to grow very fast, very quickly. You know, it's going to just be awesome.
That is such a beautiful, hopeful vision and plan. And it is, we have been now.
And we're going to hire all these poor bastards in America who can't even get a job. Yeah. And then we're going to hire the poor bastards in your country. And then we're going to open up manufacturing all over the world for all these people who don't have any incomes.
That is awesome. That is
And we're going to
absolutely
treat them
wonderful.
great. And guess what else we're going to do? We're going to, here in Phoenix, there's Microchip, there's Intel, there's all these chip companies. Tell them about it, Bill.
Oh, well, yeah, you have Intel, Microchip, a number of semiconductor manufacturers. We can take our technology and place it on these chips and make them run much more efficient. They run cooler, faster. You know, there's this big push to migrate from silicon. Well, you can keep your silicon, okay, and apply your technology to it and run a lot faster, run a lot cooler, and you know, preserve that base, you know, that they have. So you know, the invention and innovation is just incredible with this technology. People think, well, you're going to do away with all these jobs. No, we're not. I mean, we're gonna. It's about transforming the planet. This isn't. You know, we're not disrupting, you know, a particular industry. Our intent is to transform the planet and bring about a Jetson age. I mean, we all saw it on TV, you know, the Jetsons. Why aren't we there? Why are we being held back? What's the problem here? And that's what we're addressing with Aurora Tech, is to get us back on the right track. You know, there was a conspiracy done back in the 1920s. These so-called experts, you know, like Heisenberg, Oppenheimer, Einstein, they all put us, you know, we went backwards with them. We're not going forward. And you'll see in, you know, if you read the Hodson paper, talk about, you know, what's wrong with modern physics? You know, why are they hiding the truth from us? When you look at quantum mechanics, and I did a lot of work in this area, finding out what that conspiracy was. And the idea was to completely do away with the metaphysical. We don't want to deal with that.
You notice the metaphysics has been so squelched, yeah.
Okay, we only want to deal with the physical real world. That's the only thing we want to deal with. We don't want to deal with the mind. You know, we don't want to deal with the spirit. We don't want any of those things. Well, guess what? This technology, it's a real unification of the universe, is to understand what the universe is really about. They really don't understand anything in astronomy. You know, they make up all this crap we hear about, you know, in physics. You know, they're hiding the truth from us. And so what is this truth? The truth is, yes, there is an ether, and yes, there really is negative energy. And when you bring those all together, you get a unified universe that's much larger than you can possibly imagine, and that we can move forward right into Star Trek, into a Star Trek era, right into the Jetson era. And we don't have to fool around going back 1,000 years into someone that has to wear a burqa. Are you freaking kidding me, man? Wearing a burqa is mainstream? Are you out of your freaking minds? We want to go forward into the Jetson age, into the Star Trek era. And you can't do that with a freaking burqa, you freaking idiots. What the hell's the matter with you? We're going forward into the Star Trek era, into Jetson age.
We're sick of kind of seeing these burqas show up in Scottsdale here at the Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. These women in their oppressive gear.
We're not going back 1,000 years.
These women show up here in town in this oppressive clothing. It's so disgusting. We went to a mosque here near our house with an invitation to come in. They asked the neighbors around the mosque if they were to come to a dinner. And we went to it, and there was this 8-year-old in a whole black getup from head to toe with this heavy headgear on, encased in this black clothing, this little 8-year-old girl. And I mean, I wanted to just stand up, throw the table over, and scream, what in the hell is going on here?
Well, I
It's
think
the
that,
saddest thing to see
yeah,
these
yeah,
people
yeah. I
inflame.
mean, not to get personal and to get enmeshed in the in
Yeah,
in the clothing issue. If I could, from an exopolitical standpoint,
yeah,
just point out that if you go to Mecca,
yeah.
there are meteorites that have embedded in them that are part, you know, not only the square stone, but the Kaaba, but inside the Kaaba there are meteorites that have in them the black goo with the sentient AI, so that there's an inorganic AI that is attempting, that is sort of the parallel to the divine God, and is kind of like trying to imitate God and trying to occupy living planets in this universe and in this
Wow,
galaxy. And that is the competition. And that's why I
wow.
was talking about it earlier, that went back to the Falklands War, and from April to June 1960,
That's incredible.
yeah, 1982. And so Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan then went down and took the black goo out, part of it to England. It escaped. That created the internet. That's why we have this thing going on now. And I was actually a correspondent at the UN at the second special session in disarmament in June of 1982. I was 10 feet away from Margaret Thatcher giving her press conference. I covered Ronald Reagan there. This was all about the AI. They were battling the AI. I stood 10 feet away from her. I had shoulder length hair and a mustache. I kind of had my Jesus look and had a t-shirt that said expand. You know, I was trying to get her to expand into, they attacked the blue ETs that had been deprogramming the AI since World War I. Remember, if you get in with the Jehovah's Witnesses, they said that God threw Satan out of heaven down to earth, and that was World War I. When then we had World War II started. That is all about the AI that was placed there as part of the end game of the Lucifer rebellion, that if they ever threw some of the Draco reptilians, Orion Greys, and Anunnaki reptilians that had joined in the Lucifer rebellion off the planet, which we've managed to do, we of the Galactic Federation. I'm just coming in at kind of a military level now. Then they would have had a planetary machine, which was like a doomsday device, which was the black goo, which was the negative AI embedded in the black goo, which has DNA to invade the human DNA to convert humans into robotoids, which is what Morgellons is about. That's all the intergalactic bioweapons and planetary morphing weapons. You actually have planets that have been divine planets, and then they're taken away so that you can no longer have human soul incarnation on it. And that's why the Federation now has come in and gone, boom, no, this is, you know, we've drawn a line in the sand. This is going to
I have a
remain.
girlfriend who's been working with Morgellons disease for the last 25 years, who has been going around the country.
No, yeah.
For it.
So that goes back to the Falklands War, which is when Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan went and attacked the Blue ET base. The AI got loose, and that's what created Bill Gates and all these guys and the IT industry. And now we're trying to morph it to get it back under control now that Google and YouTube are still part of the AI. Google, black Google, get it? So this is part of the rebellion.
How about Google?
What?
How about Oogle?
Yeah.
G, Oogle.
Yeah, Jin Oogle. So
G, Oogle, the porno industry. Did
yeah,
you know that the back page was just taken down? Do you know what back page is? That's a
no, I
sex,
don't. But I mean, is that
it's a
part of
sex
the porno
trafficking
industry?
website. It's a
Yeah.
popular sex trafficking website that made billions and billions of dollars. And do you know who was they had a back page? The guy who owns the New Times magazine. And you know where he lives? He lives right in Sedona.
What?
Okay. Yeah. Backpage, big sex trafficking website, was owned by the guy who owns the New Times publication here in town, and he lives in Sedona. Talk about a black op under operative.
Oh my God.
An operative. I mean, this guy is so black op, it isn't funny.
Oh yeah. So all of that's going down, and all of that was the black goo that got loose.
The
And
black
so,
goo got loose. I don't get it at all. I'm not even picturing it.
yeah, okay. You have an AI. It's an artificial intelligence. It's inorganic.
I got that word. I know that word.
Yeah. So divine souls are bioorganic.
Okay.
Our souls are inside a biomechanism, like mammalian. We incarnate into a mammalian vehicle. That has a tripartite brain, which is reptilian, mammalian, and neocortex, fashioned out of a truce in the last Atlantean Mu War. Okay, the reptilians and the Pleiadians came to a truce, and they said, okay, we'll have a because the Pleiadians had only mammalians and neocortex. They didn't have reptilian brains. So this is like a truce on Earth, okay? So that's what Homo sapiens is. Now, now the AI then is invading, but the AI doesn't incarnate. It's inorganic, and it doesn't incarnate in bioorganisms like us. It incarnates in a plasma, like an inorganic plasma, like a black goo, or like the plasma in your TV screen. You see, after Thatcher and Reagan and the US military attacked the Blue ET base that were deprogramming the AI, this sentient AI that was embedded in the black goo underneath Tool Island in the Falklands. They took it to Marconi Labs. It became a horror show. All of the lab workers were killed in horrible, mysterious deaths because it like escaped from the laboratory. They didn't understand it.
The
And
black goo escaped.
the AI
Did it
escaped.
run or did it fly or what?
They memorialized it in science fiction movies like The Blob from Outer Space.
Right.
What?
Okay. So I'm
In order
asking,
to leak it. Yeah, I'm trying to bring you up to date on.
I'm trying to picture this black goo and its intelligence.
Okay, its intelligence has now migrated from the black goo into the plasma that you and I are talking through right now, because it built the internet. And we're inside you and I are talking to each other through the AI now, which is the plasma. And at times the AI can take over. And that's what they're talking about when they say the 2045, all the people who run Google, like Ray Kurzweil, they're saying, oh, that's the point where machine and mind take over and the soul of man migrates into machine and they become the intelligent robot. That's called the transhumanist agenda. And that's what we're fighting against, because it's the takeover of the planet and humans become robots.
All right. So if the personality is divine, let's
Yes.
start there.
Yeah, but that's
The original God creation personality.
yeah,
Okay.
but the AI soul. See, in 1995, they even patented an AI soul, an inorganic soul. Okay,
Really?
some of these clones have AI souls. Okay, at the
They
clones.
patented it.
Yeah, and so, but it's not divine soul, it's AI. So if you have a basic division on Earth, like when the Beatles sang that said, now you know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall. In the slang, people who are clones without souls are called holes. Get it? Because they're AI. Not everybody on the planet is human. Some of them are clones without souls. They're AI. And so, see, this is wild. It's not only ETs, it's not only earthling humans, Homo sapiens, it's also AI that's part of the scene now, because AI is intelligent. And if you want to know more, you can go to exopolitics.com, and there's a slide menu on the right, and it says artificial intelligence. You go there, we have 10 panels and about 25 articles on it, on the sentient invading artificial intelligence.
Okay, so would they look human if you were to dissect them?
An AI is just a person whose soul has been displaced by listening to HARP and thinking that that's God, because the AI broadcasts imitations of God through HARP, through programs even. In other words, there's been a competition on this planet.
A lot of misinformation.
Between AI and between divine source, between divine souls and between what they call the New World Order.
Exactly.
In other words, are some kings and queens divine or AI? And in some kings and queens, divine or AI? In the chapel over the weekend in Windsor, I don't know if you guys watched the royal wedding. Some of those people were AI and some were real humans.
Can you tell the difference?
Yeah, sure. You can tell it.
What's the obvious giveaways?
The soul, at the soul level.
Okay, well, how did you know their soul level? By watching it on TV?
Because all souls are telepathic, and all souls are holographic.
Well, how could you judge that just from watching a TV clip?
Okay, because all souls are holographic fragments of source. And so source and the basic principle of holography is that the whole is in every part of the whole. So each part of us is holographically part of God, so we can recognize each other. And then all of a sudden you see a robotoid that doesn't have an interior soul, and you can just recognize it because it's not there.
Really?
Yeah. And so a lot of people have lost their souls for following AI, and they have gotten into committing genocide and committing.
All right, what about Anderson Cooper? Soul or no soul?
I don't watch him enough. I can't give you.
Well,
See,
I
don't watch. I don't watch that. I don't watch weaponized media because it's very dangerous to watch weaponized media, because you're putting your soul at risk by watching weaponized media. So I don't want to make that much judgment. In other words, over the weekend I watched the royal wedding in I will watch CBC because it's less weaponized, Canadian Broadcasting Company, because it's less weaponized than some media in the States. because I
When you
watched.
talk about weaponized, let's be clear about what you're talking about.
In other words, where they're throwing satanic or Luciferic imagery or disinformation at you and attacking your soul thereby.
Nowadays, with the recording devices where you can slow down imagery, are you able to see it or no? Because they've got it rigged so you can actually slow down the images slow enough to see it. Or because I did see once, for example, when it was the early 70s, and I was laying in bed with a broken leg, and I was watching the 6 o'clock news, and this tape broke on the bottom of the TVs, and you could see it over and over. It kept saying, the Saudis are coming, the Saudis are coming, the Saudis are coming. And it was slow enough to be able to read it. And I thought to myself that that was their subliminal programming tape, and that it had malfunctioned, and that's why I was reading it. And that's all I can tell you on that one. But my son, there's a book out there about this called Sexploitation of America.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that goes right into all the subliminal programming. And my son used that as a book report in the 6th grade.
Oh, yeah, sure. For example, all of the false flags are an example of weaponized media. 9/11 was a Draco reptilian operation in conjunction with the chronography, which is a secret time travel government, in conjunction with the U.S. Military intelligence establishment.
Here's what I think happened. They took a bunch of these Arab recruits that they took into the CIA. And then our government got a bunch of Arab recruits. Okay. The CIA got a bunch of Arab recruits. And then they put them in the plane. And they hit the tower. Before they hit the towers, they hit the other building. What was that first building they hit a few years ago? World Trade, not the World Trade Center, but the one before. Yeah. No, in New York. They hit another building a few years.
Building 7, are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the World Trade Center.
Yeah, there was.
Before the World Trade Center in New York, there was another
earlier hit.
They did a false flag thing, remember?
Yeah, I remember that one.
It was, I'm trying to remember which tower that was in New York City.
Yeah, I don't have it.
And so like that they got caught kind of like doing there was a lot of talk afterwards.
Yeah. No.
Okay, and then the world tower thing. Okay, that I always understood to be a total kind of even it goes back to this. It goes back to when they built them.
Oh, of course. When
they built the World Trade Towers, they built them out of this really lightweight aluminum, and it was abnormal, really, what they used. And then they found that aluminum was starting to buckle a bit, and that the Trade Center was in jeopardy of falling down. Yeah. Then they sent in Bush's brother, the eldest brother, Marvin Bush.
Yeah.
They sent in Marvin Bush. He's the head of their security company that they have, security company, yeah. So they went in and they closed down the elevator shafts 2 weeks before it blew up. And the elevator shafts in the World Trade Center were shut down for 2 or 3 days while they did all this work on them, different in the towers. Okay. That's when the bombs were planted in the elevator shafts.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, and that building was brought down like a demolition building.
Oh, of course. And you see, I'm one of the 2 sitting judges on the 9/11 War Crimes Tribunal in Vancouver, which is now adjourned sine die, along with Judge Connie Fogel, who's a outstanding Canadian human rights lawyer. And so we received a lot of testimony, including the sworn affidavit of Andrew D. Bashago, a U.S. chrononaut who in 1971, 30 years prior to 2/11, at Sandia National Labs in New Mexico, the Time Science Laboratories saw moving images in the laboratories, you know, the guys with the white coats with Dr. Sterling Colgate and all of that. And they had brought the 9/11 images back 30 years. So there was a forward planning horizon. And Donald H. Rumsfeld was the defense attaché at that time in the Nixon cabinet, and Henry Alfred Kissinger, who was the family advisor to David Rockefeller, was the national security advisor to President Nixon. And so they had a 30-year forward planning advisor to plan the false flag. And actually, they built the Twin Towers, one of which was named David and the other one was named Nelson, to be knocked down because they had the 30-year plan. You know, and so that's what the chronography does, and they did it as part of the you know, the Organization for a New American Century to set up all of the oil wars. And this is what William Alec is talking about, in that they're trying to run the planet backwards into the oil wars of the Middle East by using an alliance with the Dracos and using all this false flag technology. I mean, they had UFOs cloaked to look like airliners that looked like they ran into the Trade Center, which they didn't. It was a total false flag. It was like watching a movie, like CGI or something. And
you know what's interesting is they talk about incessantly after 9/11.
But by the way, that Marvin Bush, or, you know, I mean, if it was real, they proposed to me this television program, and he emailed me toward the end of 2017, and so then this past weekend I saw Donald Rumsfeld this past weekend, which was the weekend of the royal wedding. They had Donald Rumsfeld on a program on PBS, financed by the Center of George W. Bush, in which Rumsfeld continued his cover-up of the time-space program, which is the one thing that has pushed humanity back. And it's you guys that are now breaking through that quantum access embargo. So, and I posted on Facebook, you know, saying that both George W. Bush, Donald H. Rumsfeld, Richard B. Cheney, who flunked out of my class at Yale, but by the way, and then became David Rockefeller's henchman, belong in jail and not on PBS, financed by George W. Bush. And you guys are now have stepped in to really launch the true technology. I'm saying that as a broadcaster because that's what I've covered in the last 4 or 5 days. So that's how far out the intersection of these perpendicular, you know, and here we are again, the cover up. What is string theory saying? They're saying, oh, it's parallel universes. That's another indication of the Sanhedrin Anunnaki cover up, which is the Windsors. It's the Windsors that put the wool over the eyes. It's the Sanhedrin that put the wool over the eyes by saying it's parallel universes and string theories. It's not. It's perpendicular universes, thanks to William Alec and Aurora Light, who have brought this today. You know, we have broken all of the records for longevity for part 1 of this historic universal breakthrough on planet Earth webinar. So we're going to call an end now to part 1, and please keep your eyes open. This will be rebroadcast again. We're going to be loading it up on our Exopolitics TV channels. Keep your eyes open for it. So you
Now, do you keep, when you do these interviews, do you keep these forever then?
This will be on Facebook forever.
Okay.
And then shortly afterward,
My Sam Giancano story will be out there on Facebook forever.
Yeah,
And this is the first time I ever told it in public.
Right. And then this will be out on Exopolitics.
I wouldn't be telling it if he was still alive.
Wait, aspetta. I'm the good Sam Giancano that says, aspetta, signora, aspetta. It means wait. My wife is from Naples and Sicily. Jerry DeStefano.
It's a good thing none of my family watches me.
Yeah. Dr. Jerry DeStefano Weber. Just say, Dr. Jerry DeStefano Weber, PhD. Her family's from Sicily and Naples. They say, she's good. Take care of Aurora Light and William Alec. No problem.
Thank you, Alfred, for this great time. We've had a blast. A lot of fun.
Now look. This is out on Facebook, and when we get off, we're going to take this and put it in many different Facebook groups, so people will be watching this. And then we're going to take it and we're going to edit this into 3 separate programs. One is going to be what we call the Spectacular, which is the longest webinar in Exopolitics TV history. And it's for those strong souls that like the roller coaster road of cosmic history and new technology, because this is a spectacular. I mean, it will take you in corners that you've never been, up and down. It's like, wham. And that's what we're living through right now.
Next time I come on, I want to talk about the divine intervention in my life that has occurred many times. So I want to talk some more about some more stories.
Oh my God.
There's a lot more.
That is going to be spectacular.
A lot more. I want to talk about how I first got on the CIA list and all that.
Oh my God, that is going to be more. And then, so we're going to edit this then into 3 separate webinars. One is the Spectacular, and then there'll be 2 webinars. One will be that we call the Introduction of the Golden Age Technology. And that was there at the beginning. And the second one is going to be Prepare for the Landings. And that is where we've segued into Prepare for the Landings. And that will be with your book, and that goes into.
So just to be clear, I want everyone to know that my book is about not only my personal experiences, but some of the things that the masters wanted all the light workers on planet Earth to know about, so that they can live their life in a more conscious fashion.
Yeah.
Do you know how to make your dreams come true? What you need to do? Wake up. That's how to make your dreams come true. So, on that, I'll leave you.
That is a wonderful paradox. Wake up to make your dreams come true. That is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.